Angry Birds. Oh boy. Considering how this became one of the most iconic series that could rival both Mario, Sonic, and Pokemon, it's fun to see where it all began. But first, a history lesson. Angry Birds was created by the Finland developers known as Rovio, or or whatever the heck you want to call them. They created this game not only to save their skins, because, well, Apple games at the time were huge, and to be fair, there wasn't really many iconic Apple games. I mean, sure, there was Doodle Jump, and there are some, like Cut the Rope, but none of them have nearly got the enough, well, popularity that Angry Birds got. And I mean it, Rovio went big with this franchise. So, before that all happened, we got not only games, we also got figures, plushes, candies, t-shirts, mugs, you name it. And most importantly, the memes. So, before Rovio destroyed the franchise 2 times in a row with these films, let's go back and see the original first 3 games that were released. These being the first, the original Angry Birds, Seasons, or Halloween as it was called in its beta, and Rio, to see if all 3 games are still worth playing today. That's if you can still find them due to Rovio removing them. Just get the PC versions. And to see if they're good. Before you ask, no, Angry Birds 2 is not a part of this. So, yeah, because it came out 5 years later, so no. So, let's start with, of course, the original Angry Birds. But first, let's get to the story, and I'm going to sum it up incredibly quick. Pigs steal birds' eggs, get them back. That wasn't hard. I mean, okay, I'm going to be honest, Angry Birds storytelling is as simple as the Mario games. And that's obviously for the budget. The plot's pretty straightforward. You get your eggs back, destroy the pig's empire, and that's pretty much it. You know, for a catchy soundtrack, it does have a lot of catchy themes. For example, the opening theme is my personal favourite, and I love how you can tap on the screen to all the different birds, and they still make all the noises. But yeah, let's get to the gameplay. The gameplay itself is very simple. You move your finger to the slingshot, and, well, you let go, you tap the ability of the bird. All the birds do, well, something. Red can pretty much... he's useless. Chuck, you can move really fast. The blues can split into 3. Bomb is so overpowered, he's basically a C4. Terrence is fat and can break things. Matilda can drop a bomb out of her butt. And Bubbles can inflate Hal as a boomerang, and I still can't control him. Stella can do this bubble thing, and yeah, there's hundreds of birds to use, so that's cool. And honestly, I really like the art style for Angry Birds. It's good and simple. The gameplay as well is nice and simple. It's easy to control, and it doesn't take too long to get addicted to it. So yeah, and there's plenty to choose from the levels, so I'm glad about that. And yeah, and the golden eggs area are good since they offer a bit of a much more bigger challenge. And, well, that's really it. So now, let's go on to Seasons. Now, Angry Birds was released in 2009, so 1 year later we saw a different version of Angry Birds, but it wasn't the Seasons that we're all known as today. It's actually Angry Birds Halloween was the original name for it. It was I believe a PC version of the Angry Birds game, but it was eventually ported over to the phone and was made into multiple seasons. Cool. And to be honest, Angry Birds Seasons, in my opinion, this game tops the original. It's like Super Mario Galaxy 2. It tops the original and makes it much harder, but yeah, I'll get to that one day. But not only does it do that, but it also gives us more catchy music, different cultures as well, which I was really surprised at. I thought it would just be Christmas and Halloween, but no, it's actually more. Like Easter, Valentine's Day, Year of the Dragon. By the way, that theme's really catchy, listen to it. And also, I get nostalgia when I click on these links to show animation clips. I can't show them because, copyright reasons and everything, but they're really good animations, and you can still find them on YouTube today, so that's cool. So, yeah, I like what Angry Birds Seasons is. I mean, it's still great. I like the power-up feature in both games, which I like because they add that later on to make the game a little bit easier. And, yeah, I think it looks good. It's not great, but, hey, it's good. I like it. Okay, so now on to Angry Birds Rio. I'm gonna be honest. Out of all the crossovers they could have done, I was more expecting one with Ice Age rather than Rio. Because, Ice Age is just incredibly popular. But, yeah, sure, why not? Since, one of the main characters can't fly and the birds are flightless birds. Oh, okay, very, very smart. Even when I was a kid, I thought this was weird. I mean, Rio as a film was just kind of forgettable as something. I mean, I'll sum it up quick. It's just forgettable, and it's just about a bird who can't fly. They got hunted down by this insane cockatoo who's apparently the best character in the entire film. But let's talk about Rio as the Angry Birds Rio. It's interesting, to say the least. I mean, it's a full-grown story with the birds getting shipped over to Rio, them meeting Blue and Jewel, them trying to fight their way out and avoid Nigel and the monkeys, and I actually kind of like it. And not only that, but it changes the gameplay up a bit. For example, you don't fight the pigs. Instead, you have to free the birds. Yeah. And then sometimes you fight the monkeys, which is more like, the normal thing. But they sometimes jump around and they get really irritating. But what's interesting here about Angry Birds Rio is that they actually include something that became a main staple in the series, and that being boss fights. Yeah, Angry Birds Rio was the first game to include boss fights, since they would later be used in space and, well, even some of the Transformers ones and, well, even Angry Birds 2. And by bosses, we have, well, two. We have either a monkey or Nigel, who normally just flaps around half the time. And, yeah, they're okay boss fights. I mean, they're better. I mean, I still think the space bosses are a lot better, because they are cool. And, yeah, Angry Birds Rio still does have a catchy soundtrack. It's a catchy Rio soundtrack, which I really like. I sometimes like dancing to it. And that's really it. I mean, Rio doesn't offer much for a story or gameplay, but it's good. Overall, the Angry Birds trilogy, in my opinion, before everything happened in the franchise, before it became a big name in video games, before all of the games and the merch and the memes, and most importantly, before those stupid movies killed it, it was just a simple video game, 3-game trilogy. The Angry Birds trilogy, in my opinion, is one of the best video games out there. It's simple, it's fun, and it offers a lot to do. Maybe it hasn't aged well, in particular Rio hasn't aged well, because the game's kind of unplayable, but it's still fun. If there's definitely a version to recommend getting of Angry Birds, I would definitely stick with the Xbox 360 version. Yes, Angry Birds is on Xbox 360. The reason why I think getting this version is because you don't have any ads, there's no movie updates, and it's very easy to track down. Heck, you can even get it on the Nintendo DS, the 3DS. So you want to play Angry Birds on the go, or on the run, huh? See what I did there? Okay. But yeah, my rating, I would give, well, the original Angry Birds, I give it a 9.8 out of 10. Angry Birds Seasons, I give it a 10 out of 10. And Angry Birds Rio, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's quite disappointing that Rio isn't as good as the first two, but it still is worth playing. So, yeah, there is, of course, my Angry Birds review. Join me next time, everyone, where I'll be taking a look at the 2012 Angry Birds games, which include Friends, Space, Star Wars, and Bad Piggies. See you next time, guys.